Legend has it that it was written by the Dark One.
The box. You opened it. We came.
Where are you going?
Gotta return some video.
Have you heard about this videotape that kills you when you watch it? And as soon as it's over, your phone rings. Someone knows you've watched it. And what they say is...
Due by midnight.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't shit in here while we're in here.
Yeah, because it stinks.
All right, fuckers.
Alrighty.
Our first episode of our unnamed podcast as of yet, but
Yes.
we'll have it up soon.
Yeah, we'll go and sleep on it and come up with something amazing, I'm sure.
Hopefully, it'll blow your mind.
Yes.
Well, intros for the first episode. I'm Forrest. I am a diehard horror movie, I don't know, connoisseur. And my partner here.
I'm Brett, and I am not a hardcore connoisseur. Wait. That's something else.
Brett is a normie.
A normie,
is
okay.
what it's known in.
That's what Alcoholics Anonymous calls the regular people, normies.
A normie?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you know that?
Because of a person we both know.
Oh, okay. I was like, we're both not alcoholics, I guess, technically in this sense. We are drinking while we do these podcasts. We are drinking the redneck of the redneck beers tonight.
Oh, the Rockies.
Yeah. The taste of the Rockies. I'm not going to say their name, though, because we're not getting paid for that.
That's right. All 10 of you out there.
So, yeah, the perspective of this podcast, or the whole crux of this podcast, is me being a diehard horror movie fan, and Brett here being, like I said, a normie, a person that grew up kind of watching horror movies, but not a huge fan of horror movies.
Yeah, I'd say it was more of just like, a popular movie that you would go see with your friends or something like that. I never actually cared about them or would rent them myself, like action movies. I'd, rent whatever, Die Hard or whatever.
Yeah.
I would always rent those by myself, watch those, but horror movies I never would.
Which is crazy to me, and I think a lot of people, because being a horror podcast, you'd be like, well, why would you have one guy that's never watched horror movies be on a horror movie podcast? Well, I think that's
what I wondered.
I think it's the beauty of our podcast, is because you get someone who's watched these movies many, 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 many times, and can probably recite lines from movies like everyone else that loves those movies. But you have someone that grew up in the same time era as all of us. We're now approaching like our mid to late 30s now. Yep. And someone that came from the era and doesn't know these movies like the back of their hand, I think it gives a fresh perspective on these movies. So you're not seeing, like, I would see these movies through rose tinted glasses probably because I grew up with them.
Yeah, you could also go back and say, oh, they stole that from that movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Where I wouldn't be able to see that. I would just be like, oh, that's an awesome idea.
Right. And I think for our first episode, it's a really good one because it's a movie that's very, very well known, not only in horror, but in the David Cronenberg universe.
Let's go to that, because you called it horror. I almost don't think it's a horror movie. I feel like it's more of a science fiction movie than a horror movie.
It's more of like a fucked up horror love story.
Kinda.
It's like a Dr. Dolittle, but fucked up.
He speaks to flies. Although, yeah, I don't know if we're getting into the movie yet, or we're talking about our favorite parts of it or anything.
Well, we are doing, I guess everyone knows now, the 1986 movie, The Fly.
The Fly.
Be afraid.
With Jeff Goldblum.
Be very afraid.
Well, I guess, yeah. Be afraid if you're like in the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. That's a tagline for the movie.
Be afraid for the last 10 minutes.
That would be a good name for the podcast. So yeah, I gave this movie to Brett to watch, and Well, first of all, tell them the story. What happened? You took the movie from my house.
Yeah, I took the movie from his house, and I was planning on watching it today. And then I just moved, just recently moved, so everything is in boxes except for stuff I use regularly. And then I go to plug it into my TV, and of course the DVD player is not there, and everything is packed up in boxes, so I have no idea where it is. So basically, I had to rent it off of Amazon Prime instead, even though I took the movie, not thinking about having the DVD player packed up.
That's... I don't know.
I should have told that at the end so then everybody could have fallen asleep.
Anyway, The Fly. Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis.
Gina Davis. She's the one that made the movie worthwhile to watch for me.
She was really hot back then.
She was
beautiful. I think in like every movie I've ever seen Gina Davis in, she's always been pretty attractive. I think this brought like her into
that was like Angelina Jolie lips before Angelina Jolie was around.
This brought her into like the sexy realm.
Yeah.
Like I saw her in Beetlejuice. I was like, oh, she's like
the mom though, right?
She's like kind of a hot, good-looking wife that kind of like cares about what her husband does. And then you see in A League of Their Own, and she's still kind of hot there, but you don't see much in this movie.
Yeah. She's definitely attractive in it, for sure.
I mean, you don't get to see her naked, but...
You do. Well, you get to see side boob.
Side boob's good. Did you notice in the part of the movie where after they have sex, she's completely naked in the bed? Mm-hmm. And then literally within 5 seconds, when she's up, she has underwear on.
I didn't notice that. No, that's funny.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird.
I did notice one part in the movie, though, where... Jeff Goldblum, he had those prickly things on his back.
Yeah, the hairs, the fly hairs.
And at one time, he turned around and his back was completely, like, nothing was there. So I was like, oh, that's interesting.
So, this being like a cult classic movie, it was only, well, I'm not going to say only, $9 million was a lot of money for 1986, especially a horror movie.
I guess triple that.
And in the end, it made over $60 million as of today. So that movie's like a success, a commercial success.
Yeah. Okay.
I think in its opening weekend it made like over 20 million. So like it was already great at that point.
I wonder how much he got paid for it, because it was like his like really breakout role, right? So so he probably didn't get actually paid very much for it.
And you want to know
something? He wasn't
the
star yet.
Something crazy is that Michael Keaton was first wanted for the role, but he turned it down. And for the woman part that Gene Davis did, Linda Hamilton from Terminator 2 was supposed to be the woman in that movie.
She kind of looks like a guy to me.
I don't know. I thought
she's got like a square jaw.
In Terminator, she was pretty good looking. Terminator 2, I could see where she would kind of lose the
Terminator 2.
I guess sex appeal. I don't know. I think she's still pretty hot in Terminator 2. But she turned it down because she thought the birthing scene of the maggot baby was too disturbing. So she's like, I'm not being in
that
this.
That was too disturbing?
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
I thought it was hilarious. And
I wish they actually kept it. Like, I wish she didn't wake up. I wish that like she had like a maggot baby. That would be cool.
Well, you didn't see the second one yet, but in the second one, it picks up right at the end of the first one.
Okay.
Even though they recast Gene Davis, she's not even in it. It's a different lady, but she's pooping out the baby, and it's a freaking like maggot pod thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So she didn't end up getting an abortion, and then she had the kid. That's what she feared.
Yeah, but the twist is they open up like the cocoon pod thing, and there's like a regular kid inside.
Oh, but that kid grows up to be like a weird.
He grows up to be
thing.
Completely genetically the same as his dad with the fly genetics, so he starts turning slowly to the fly monster, and he has like accelerated rates of how he ages too.
Huh.
So like by the time he's 5, he's like mentally like 20.
Gotcha.
So anyway, well, I guess since it's your first time seeing it, what did you think about the movie overall? Like, what?
I thought it was watchable. Yeah, it was watchable.
I mean, did you think it was good? Did you think it was not so good? Do you think it's
whenever
overhyped?
you watch an older movie, it's a lot slower paced, right? So you have to get yourself out of the mindset of I just want to be, entertained every 5 seconds. Our
Yeah.
ADD generation, just like every few seconds there's something crazy going on.
You actually get to hear the story, see the story.
Yeah, so that's cool because if you mentally prepare yourself for it and just kind of slow yourself down, and it also has that older feel, where I don't know how to explain it. The 80s movies had this different feel to it. I think it's the hair. I really do.
Like
giant hair.
Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum basically have the same haircut.
Yes, it's big, it has volume. They use great shampoo. I don't know.
Lots of mousse. I think
there was no flat irons over there.
Also,
like in the 80s.
it's like barely any kind of CGI special effects, So
it's all makeup, and I actually prefer that over CGI. CGI gives a very weird feel sometimes, to where it almost makes it feel even faker than if you see makeup. Makeup, it's fake, but I don't know, it has a different.
I don't think any CGI, even when we're talking about now, like when you're talking about the new Star Wars movies, I guess that's like the highest quality CGI right now.
Yeah,
and the human eye can still detect that it's not.
It's off. Yeah,
real.
It looks. A lot of the stuff looks really, really good, but you can tell. You just know like there's something off about it. I know it's CGI.
Yeah.
And I can't always pinpoint what it is exactly, because they got some really good ones now.
A perfect example would be like you look at brand new Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then you look at Alien, right? And all those spaceships in Alien were all handcrafted models.
That's cool.
Yeah, and you can tell.
Kind of like Star Wars and stuff, how they all had little
yeah,
models.
New Hope, all the handcrafted models in that compared to now where it's like super crisp and clean and looks perfect. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes the little Muppet heads and stuff look better.
The Muppet heads. the alien bar thing.
Yeah. Wasn't Jim Henson involved in that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said Muppet heads.
You better be careful. My friend doesn't like you.
Yes, exactly.
I'll be careful. I don't like you either. Oh, you'll be dead.
Star Wars quotes.
Yeah. What do you think of Jeff Goldblum's performance in the movie?
I liked it.
I thought it was really convincing that he was a scientist.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to you earlier about. Is it reminded me of Jurassic Park when he was the scientist guy. He really came off with that vibe, and just when he wants to explain things. Although he said he wasn't really a scientist, right? He said he was like a facilitator, or he put the stuff together, but he didn't actually know how it worked, or I don't know what it was. Like
he didn't create the pods or whatever. He just had the theory behind them or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, he just put together the parts. He had smarter people who knew how those parts worked and stuff. Yeah. So I think they tried to actually get away from him being a scientist, but that's where I kind of saw him as a scientist.
I mean, it could explain what happened to the monkey.
Yeah. He never wears a white lab coat, though, so.
That's true. He wears the same thing every day.
Yes.
Which I think Einstein. I thought that was really clever.
Yeah, because I do that in my normal life. So.
and also, I'm not sure if this is a confirmed fact, but I think it is that Ian Malcolm, his character in Jurassic Park, had the same theory in the book that he wears the same thing every day. Oh, really? So he doesn't have to think about it.
I don't remember that part about.
Well, it's in the book. It's not in the movie.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but
that's interesting.
Well, everyone knows that David Cronenberg films, except for Brett here, that Cronenberg films are very much like body horror movies.
Body horror with gore?
Body horror is considered movies where it's like something grotesque that you can't escape. Like you can escape a monster, you can escape you can't escape yourself. You can't escape something that's going on inside of you.
And then Slither would be considered a body horror then?
Oh yeah, Slither. Now Slither's a really funny movie because I think one of the next movies, I'm not sure if we're gonna do Slither, but there's a movie that came out in the 80s and it's way before Slither, obviously, and it's called Society. And Society, the premise is there's all these rich people in this nice white suburban American neighborhood, but yet they're all like these fucked up aliens that can join and morph and do these nasty fucking body orgy things to eat people. And
Yeah, we should watch that.
so it is just like Slither at the end, where you see them all just like getting naked and forming into this nasty silly
So
putty
like
thing.
blobs that like
Yes.
just like come together.
Yeah. Yeah. And they
Like-
shove their hands up people's asses, and that's like they're like eating them that way.
Oh.
Yeah, it's fucked up. So the overall premise of The Fly, a lot of people when they went and saw the movie, David Cronenberg was actually really surprised because some people thought it was like a movie about like an underlying message about AIDS.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not get that at all.
Neither did I. I was very confused of why anyone at that time would have thought that.
Maybe it was just like the political climate back then or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, that's when the whole AIDS epidemic was happening, right?
Yeah.
80s.
It blew up huge at the end of the 80s, yeah. This is also a remake of the 1958 Vincent Price movie, The Fly. You know, have you seen that one?
Never saw that one. No.
Oh, okay. Well, that one's another iconic one. I remember always seeing that as a kid, and you know, my grandma would always repeat the little line at the end of the movie, "Help me, help me," because that's because in The Fly, the original, it's pretty much almost the same premise. It's just not as grotesque and shit.
Yeah.
And instead of the guy turning into a half human, half fly hybrid thing, he just turns directly into a fly.
Oh,
and the size of a fly.
And the size of a fly. That's what I was expecting to happen.
Yeah. And when he gets stuck in the spider web at the end, he's like, "Help me."
He gets stuck in a spider web?
Yeah.
Like a little spider web?
Yeah, like a regular size spider web.
And he's a huge fly?
He turns into like
Oh,
a size of
tiny
a fly. Yeah.
Oh, that's not scary.
No,
at
it's
all.
not scary. But I guess for 1958, I don't know, it was shocking or something at the time. I don't know.
The fastest horror movie in the world.
The Fly has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's pretty good.
That's like higher than a lot of the current, I think, superhero movies that are out nowadays.
Yeah. I'm surprised that it's that high.
The Fly 2.
I mean, well, I'm not saying it's bad, but like
Well, I mean, what would you rate it on Rotten Tomatoes?
probably like a 75. Like watchable. It was entertaining, but it was.
Let's hear your internet review. What would you write in your internet review?
I would when I started off, where I was saying that it isn't a horror movie. It's just like more of a science fiction with like a twist at the end. I would say that it's watchable. It's entertaining, a little bit slow sometimes.
Would you ever watch it again?
I would have liked it if the last 10 minutes was in the middle of the movie. So he turned into the fly faster, and then he spits that white goo out on people, and he goes around wreaking havoc. That would have been more of a horror. That's why I say it's more of a science fiction, because the climax is when all that stuff happens. It wasn't like throughout the movie.
Right.
There wasn't anything nefarious. It wasn't like this
Well,
guy,
he's not evil.
Yeah, that's why.
Until he
it
starts
reminded
kind
me
of
horror.
losing his mind at the end.
In the very end, but he's not even him anymore, right? So he wasn't like this mad scientist, like trying to become a fly. And
No, he fucked up his experiment.
yeah, I think the underlying message of the whole thing is don't make life-changing decisions when you drink.
Yeah, because that's pretty much what happens. He got drunk because he was
exactly
pissed
what
off
happens,
at Gene Davis for no reason. He thought he was cheating on him or whatever when she
Yeah,
wasn't.
getting all
He's like,
jealous.
you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do the experiment without her.
Pops in the freaking thing, yeah.
Yeah, which I think a lot of us can say that we've done some things that
We've all been
are... why the fuck did I do that while I was drunk? I fucked something up.
Yeah, exactly.
And The Fly 2, even though you haven't seen it, only has a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I find really
The
weird.
sequel.
Because it's not that bad. It's not as good, nearly as good as the first, but it's still a pretty decent movie as far as like a sequel goes. It holds true to what the story was in the beginning. Jeff Goldblum's kind of used in it as like a recording and stuff to his son later on. And sorry, my computer froze.
Oh, that's right.
Not froze, but locked. And I want to make sure we're still recording. Yes, we
Gotcha.
are.
All right.
And overall, it was just a good movie. I don't understand why it got such a low percentage, but whatever.
The first one, the second one, did it have anybody like of note in it, or was it just like a?
I forget who stars in the second one. He is a big name actor now, which is weird, but yeah. I think the overall premise of the movie is pretty good. What I really liked about this as a remake compared to the original film is that not only do they take certain liberties that the first one couldn't at the time, because, you know, body morphing hybrid people wasn't really... I mean, there's movies like that in the 50s. They're just not all fucked up like this one was.
I think, was it Night of the Living Dead in the 50s?
Yeah.
The first ones?
Yeah. I mean, even then...
the Dead, yeah.
Even then, it wasn't...
There's a little bit of gore in that, as far as, like, hands coming off, and you see ligaments and stuff.
Yeah, you even see some naked people in that one.
Yeah, naked people were actually in those, like, PG movies. Well, I think that's all they didn't have rated R back then, so anything was PG that could have, like, full-on nude scenes.
Yeah.
I remember that as a kid. Watching old movies and be like, PG, okay, something might happen.
I know, that happens with me sometimes now, where it's like, oh, okay, The Great Outdoors, this is rated PG. With Dan Aykroyd and John Candy, where they all go camping. But there's bad words dropped in it all the time.
Yeah. And
a little bit of some like seductive stuff that goes on also in the movie. Just like Christmas Vacation, you're watching it and you're like,
well, Christmas Vacation has a little bit of raunch to it. You know?
Yeah,
it's the National Lampoon, so
it's a part though where a woman's about to take her top off in a Christmas movie for kids. I'm like, well, that's the 80s. But it's stuff like that you like forget about, or just like forget that the whole rating system's changed over time.
Yeah, it's been way different now.
Like toys, when you think of toys from the 80s and the 90s even, like we had fucking RoboCop toys for kids and collector cards and stuff for fucking rated R movies. Movies that we probably didn't even see right away.
I didn't think about that, but you're right. They had action figures for rated R movies basically for kids.
Yeah. Huh. We had Alien toys and Terminator toys and all this shit. And
yeah, those were all rated R.
And some of the top cards, like I have some of them from like RoboCop and stuff. Some of them have like gory pictures on them. Like a guy like getting shot in the head in the Terminator or in RoboCop. And it's like got blood gushing out of his side of his head.
Do they even allow like G.I. Joes now? Are there G.I. Joes still? Because I've been thinking that they have.
I don't know. We don't have toy stores anymore.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I know you can't buy like plastic toys or plastic guns anymore, toy guns anymore. That was a while ago. I went to Toys R Us and tried to buy my cousin's kid a toy gun when I was going up to see him, and that was like at least 10 years ago. Couldn't find a single toy gun anywhere in Toys R Us.
I mean, I know you can still buy water guns and stuff, but they're like all
That's
those
different.
like fucking neon colors and shit.
Yeah, I had those. They kind of looked like an M16.
Yeah,
they had the orange tip at the end or whatever, but they made all
and
the sound
they click
and stuff.
The noise. What about the pop guns?
No, those pop guns were fun.
Yeah, they didn't ever sound like a gun.
No, it was.
But they smoked, which was cool.
Yes.
Yeah. You could get those. I remember getting those from the Ice Cream Man.
Oh, I never got them from the Ice Cream Man. I always got it from like the store down the street. Those are fun though, for sure. They had the ones that were the revolver ones. Yeah. Those were the coolest because you could like stick it in like a revolver, and you got like 6 or 8 shots.
6 rounds. Yeah.
That was fun.
There was 2 toy lines for this movie.
My dog just farted.
Oh. Rambo. There were 2 toy lines for this movie. There was one for the Movie Maniacs toy line. I had a bunch of those when I was in middle school, but I did not have the Fly one. And then there was the Sideshow Collectibles one, which I think my dad owns. That's pretty cool. It's like where he's all fucked up. All, like the whole...
Can you pull pieces off of him? Can you pull his jaw off?
I think the... the movie Maniac one came with like a piece of his jaw. I think that's like the most entertaining part for me of the whole film is not the end where he's super fucked up.
Yeah.
But watching him slowly go through that process.
That was cool because he
losing
wasn't just immediately like insect mind or whatever. He
No.
kind of said this is what's happening, and he felt it coming. You know.
Yeah, and I like how fucking crazy he acts. Like
his eyes
when he
great.
first changes, he's like totally on speed.
Yeah, his eyes were darting all over the place. It was funny.
Like he starts. I laughed so hard the part where he's talking normal to Gene Davis. And she's like, "Come on, let's go out. Let's go out. Let's go out. Let's go out." And she's like, "No, I think we should stay here." He's like, "You're a fucking drag!" Just out of nowhere.
Yeah. He turns on a whatever you call that dime or whatever.
Yeah, it's fucking great. And then, yeah, just watching his slow descent of turning into the fly monster and having his body parts fall off, but yet he's still coherent enough to where he's like forming thoughts. And I think even at the point where he's looking at himself in the bathroom mirror and he's got like all the pieces of himself inside the medicine cabinet. Yeah. Was his dick in there?
I was about to say that. Was it? Because I thought I saw something in there, and I was
it looked like a dick.
But I didn't like believe my eyes. Like, I was like, did I really see that? Or
I thought I saw it.
I didn't rewind it, but yeah, I thought that exact same thing.
Okay, I'm glad you saw that too.
Because I couldn't figure out what it was, and I was like, it's got to be that, right? Like,
it has to be. I love the part where he's like, "I'm gonna be the first ambassador of humans." An insect.
Yeah. Insect politician. That's what it was.
I love that part. So another funny thing about this movie is that Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis, because like I told you, they cast Jeff Goldblum first, and they wanted Linda Hamilton. She turned it down. So Jeff Goldblum actually suggested Gina Davis because they were dating at the time.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty.
They already had the chemistry.
They had the love connection.
Okay. That's why she was able to hug him when he was like all gross looking.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, Gina Davis is, I think, a really good actress from everything that I've seen her in. She's pretty convincing. So you wouldn't have known, like, if I didn't look it up, I wouldn't have known they were dating.
No.
But I think that's a pretty funny fact that they were. And
a little bit of trivia there.
It's like how much weird stuff happens like that in movies when you look up the facts of like actors that gave other actors roles when they were like not known. Like Robert England, that plays Freddy Krueger. Like if it wasn't for him, Mark Hamill would have never been Luke Skywalker.
That's crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
That's a trip, yeah. Is that really?
Yeah, because they're like they're best friends.
England. Is that gonna mess up with that?
I don't know.
Heater? You want me to turn it off?
No, it's too late now.
Okay.
This is our first episode, so you know if it's a little rough.
You hear a wheezing in the background. Well, I could at least open it up so it doesn't have that. There we go.
So, I want some more backstory from you. Well, like, why is it, since we grew up in the same time period, basically? I mean, you're, 4 years older than I am?
More than that. I'm 37.
Okay, a little bit older.
I think like 6 years older.
Okay.
It's almost a decade.
And why do you think that you grew up not watching horror movies? Like, for me, I grew up with it because my dad's like crazy into horror movies, and we were watching, HBO and Tales from the Crypt before I was even in school. Yeah,
it probably has to do with parents. I mean, my parents never watched any horror movies or anything like that.
But your dad loves like the Alien franchise and stuff.
Yeah, but that's more action than horror too. It's like it could cross either realm.
Yeah, the first
so
two
more
movies.
sci-fi adventure when I think of Aliens.
The first two movies are definitely more horror. The first one especially definitely has a huge horror
I think horror
element.
has a wider umbrella than I'm thinking, because when I think of a horror movie, I think of something that It doesn't always have to be like super scary, but it should
No.
probably be scary or somewhat disturbing.
I mean, look at the Friday the 13th movies. Those are basically comedies, in my opinion.
But they were meant. That has a slasher aspect though, so
right. Have a body count.
And they
That's
did
like
have
grotesquely
the pop up moments, where you're supposed to be scared or whatever. So it has that scare element, right? And
right.
It also has a villain, which is another reason why I didn't think of The Fly as being like a horror movie, because there wasn't really a villain.
It's not a traditional villain.
Yeah, it's not like a Freddy where they're trying to kill, and there doesn't even need to be a reason to kill. That they're just this evil.
The underlying
presence.
villain's like science.
Yeah, it's science gone wrong, right? It's the accident is.
Oh God, your dog farted.
He farted over there. Thank God. Last time I was over
Jesus Christ, man! Look at how proud you are too.
That's awful. Yeah, but for horrors, there needs to be a little bit more element of scare to me, a little bit of a gore element, and something. I don't know what to call it. Not mystical, but something like out of this world, different.
Now, what about when you were in high school? Because when you were in high school, it was like what, the late 90s?
Yeah, very late 90s. So I graduated 2001.
And horror was huge in the 90s. There was a lot of horror movies in the 90s.
Scream came out.
Scream was a huge one. I was in fourth grade when Scream came.
I
Fourth or
watched
fifth
the
grade.
Screams. I watched the Screams and I liked those. Yeah, those were great.
Jason movies were still coming out, and Freddy Krueger movies too.
Yeah, I never watched any of those in theaters at all.
That's crazy.
So I did watch Nightmare on Elm Street, but once again, horror movies I used as a social thing,
So like at parties, they'd be on in like the background, or
yeah, or you'd get together with people and watch it or something.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be anything that I would ever do alone. It was.
Why is that?
Yeah, well, I don't really like watching them alone.
Oh,
it just
they scare you?
Not scare me necessarily. They do give me nightmares sometimes, like I have trouble going to sleep or whatever, but that's not too big of a deal. But it's just I don't really enjoy watching them alone that much. It's more of a social activity, yeah.
I mean, I get the social activity. I would like watching horror movies with friends in like middle school and stuff, and go to theaters and see horror movies with friends. But like by the time I started working when I was like 15, our grocery store had a video rental store inside of the grocery store. So because of that, me and my friend Sean, who worked at the courtesy clerk counter thing, for the video rental place, we got a catalog every month of fucking movies, and you could just go through it and we'd order whatever fucking movies we wanted to get brought into the store. And I'd always be walking out of there with movies that I'd never seen or horror movies that I wanted to see all the time. That was like the huge thing that I did in high school, and I'd always just watch them by myself mostly. So, and I had, like I said, when other kids or my friends would come into my room, it wasn't like your average room where you're like, I had a bunch of skateboard stuff, but like, how my office looks now.
Yeah.
That's basically how my fucking room looked when I was a teenager. I had fucking horror movie shit everywhere in my room. Horror figures and horror movie VHS tapes out on display because I thought they were so cool. I don't know who I was displaying them to. There was no one that ever really knew what it was, but still, it's basically how my office looks now. It's just always been a huge thing. I don't know.
Basically, you've been into horror your entire life then.
Yeah. I still have my dad's VHS recordings that he would record off of TV for horror movies,
Yeah.
So we have like tapes that have like Pumpkinhead and Puppet Master and Near Dark on like one tape.
What was that movie? Hellraiser. I think I was like 10 when that came out. I was really young. But
Did you see that?
I never saw that, but I remember seeing the poster. And
oh
like,
my
whoa,
God.
That looks crazy.
You haven't seen Hellraiser?
No, I've never seen Hellraiser.
Oh my God.
Maybe actually, I want to say...
Dude, maybe that should
be
be
I may have watched it with you, actually.
Maybe that should be our second episode. No.
We could do that. No, we never watched Hellraiser? Okay.
Fuck no.
Because I've seen parts of it, and I can't remember where the heck I've seen parts
Hellraiser
of it.
is fucked up. I remember being a kid and seeing that
seems
movie.
more like a horror movie to me, right? It's like...
That is it's more disturbing. It's very disturbingly... And it does have scary elements, but it's like... the shit that Clive Barker fucking came up with is always really fucked up. I would consider that almost like body horror also, because the shit that the Cenobites, they have, like the main guy, Pinhead, has nails in his fucking head. There's like pieces of his chest being held open with like with string and hooks and shit. Yeah. It's like did you see Event Horizon? Mm-hmm. So Event Horizon is what is like known as like Hellraiser in space. So all those flashes of like fucked up shit that you see in that movie, that's like Hellraiser all the way through.
Okay, yeah, Event Horizon was definitely like disturbing. I saw that when I was really young, accidentally.
What?
My dad rented it thinking it was a science fiction.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, it is science fiction.
Yeah.
I still really like the
movie.
movie.
It's more horror than science fiction. Yeah, I think so.
I think it's fucking a badass movie still. Lawrence Fishburne and Neil something, the guy that plays
Neil, I don't know,
the guy from Jurassic Park, the British guy.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, in the Mouth of Madness and everything else that he's in. Well, so your overall score for The Fly is like a
7.5,
7.5. Yeah, and
so it's a solid C. So it's a solid movie, but it's not something. I don't know if I'll watch many horrors by myself and be like, this is a 10. Because like I said, without that social aspect of... Because a lot of it is looking at the movie, and then when something happens, it's like, oh, that's funny, or oh my gosh, like that's just out of this, that just gore is just so gory it's comical, So that's the part I think that's more social, is that you all kind of get a kick out of that.
Well, what I like about that is, like I could totally get that, what you're talking about. What I like about it is that you're watching these by yourself for the first time, is that I'm getting your unbiased opinion, because if I was here watching these with you...
Oh, but would have had more fun and probably would have rated it higher.
Yeah, which I don't think is giving it a fair shake. Because with me here, I'm going to be like... It's going to be hard for me not to have enthusiasm for the parts that I think are like
really good
or really funny.
Like, this part's coming up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's also the beauty.
Have you seen Hostel?
Yeah, I've seen all three Hostels.
Okay, would you qualify those as horror?
I qualify those as torture porn.
Yeah, okay. Because I was going to say, it could also go the other way. When it gets too excessive, it almost goes out of the horror genre.
Don't get me wrong, I thought Hostel was...
That was more disturbing. Like, you watch and
good,
you're disturbed with the amount of disgusting.
But by the time they get to the third Hostel, it gets kind of more comedic. At least for me, I think. I'd consider Hostel, like I said, torture porn mostly, because that's what it's mostly going for, that shock factor, like Human Centipede.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Human Centipede has definitely a horror element to it for me, because he kidnaps them and has that whole thing. And
I think Human Centipede 1 and 2
I'm thinking of 2. I'm thinking of 2 right now.
Better than Hostel, because it's like an original fucking weird idea, like Tusk.
It's totally, Tusk. Never forget that movie. I don't know if I would give that a 7.5 if I was watching it by myself.
I liked Tusk because it was like a weird...
It was very weird.
Almost like the most dangerous game, but kind of... There's no part where the guy gets to go out and like try to kill the other guy, It's just like the whole opening part where it's all fucked up.
It's incredibly depressing movie. At the end, he's still a freaking walrus and he's just miserable. His friends just go, see you later.
Yeah. But yeah, when it comes to movies like that, where it's like Hostel, torture porn, Human Centipede, original, but still a lot of weird torture stuff goes on. I thought Human Centipede 2 was fucking great.
I was great. I thought so too.
And it was hilarious.
That's why it was so great. Because it was so freaking hilarious.
Like
South Park did an episode on it.
Yeah, the Human Centipede.
Yeah.
That was hilarious too.
Which was awesome.
The part where in Human Centipede where the lady steps on the baby's head or whatever.
That was the pinnacle of the movie.
It sounds fucked up, but I thought it was like fucking hilarious when she did that.
Yeah, we were both laughing when it happened.
I remember
because you're laughing partially because you can't believe that just happened. Like, I can't think of a single other movie where a fetus's head gets stepped on. That's like,
or the part where he kills his mom and it's just like a donut hole in the middle of her head with the crowbar.
Yeah. But it's like so over the top that it's funny.
The beauty that it was in black and white, so it's like it wasn't saturated with color like when the blood and stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that added a nice element to it actually.
Yeah,
it made it more classy.
And then at the end, you don't know if it was real or not.
Yeah, it was a dream.
Till you hear those baby cries during the credits. I remember me and you were really confused at that. We were like,
what does that mean?
I don't know.
I don't know. I honestly don't remember.
The third one's fucking horrible. Did you watch the third one?
No.
Don't even.
Wait, no, we rented that and we turned it off. Wasn't that at the prison?
Yes.
And there was like a porn star that was cast as one of the actors, but she was obviously doing porn this time, but she was an awful actor.
Yeah. Well, they were all. That's what I found super confusing and why it was so bad is because the doctor's in it from the first one and the little fat guy from the second one. And they all act like really fucking retardedly.
I think they took that and tried to turn it into like a weird comedy angle or something. Yeah.
It's worse than any. I mean, that's just on my top. That's in like one of my top 100 list of horror movies that are just complete shit. It's not good. It's not bad. It's not good.
That's them just milking the last two. You know, they're like, oh, these got so many people watching it because it's so freaking weird. We gotta get our last bit of money out of it.
Yeah. We have 300 people connected from ass to mouth this time.
At some point, it becomes like, okay.
It becomes Sharknado, but not funny.
The world's a centipede.
Well, I didn't read this at the beginning, but here are some of the taglines from the movie. Okay. We know, be afraid, be very afraid, because that's what Gina Davis says in the movie.
Oh, to the hooker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then half man, half insect, total terror.
When was that? Who said that?
That's just one of the taglines. You know, the shit that they put on the box.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
And then, something went wrong in the lab today. Very wrong. I don't like that one.
That's just lazy writing.
Yeah.
That's exactly the same thing as the other one. Be afraid, be very afraid.
And then this one's from the movie trailer. There is a limit, even to the imagination. A point where our greatest creations meet our deepest fears. You're about to go beyond that limit.
See, they make it sound scary though. It wasn't scary. It was like,
okay, gotta think when someone's going into this movie with the expectation of the original, and if they didn't know anything about David Cronenberg's work, I bet seeing something like this fucked them up. Seeing his slow transformation with his body parts falling off, his skin looking all fucked up, looking like he's dying of some sort of fucking disease, and the parts where his jaw comes off and shit, like shit like that, I think disturbed people that were like.
It did have gore that was disturbing.
Yeah.
If you don't find it comical, it becomes disturbing.
Imagine like a normal moviegoer, some lady, mom, family, whatever, in their 30s at that time, going in with the expectation of the original, and seeing this and be like, what the fuck is this?
I have to see the original. Well, you told me the original, he was that actual fly.
Yeah, he turns into an actual fly.
Absolutely not scary.
And Vincent...
In fact, he becomes less scary than any human, because when has the fly ever hurt anybody? As harmless as a fly. That's freaking insane.
That's true. That's true. Unless it's this movie where he
that's the
spits
thing.
out that
He's
fucking acid shit.
Yeah, he's a giant fly. That's scary because that's, just he got all that white goozy stuff and things like that. Or like them. Was it called them or it?
Yeah.
No, not them.
There's them.
Them, yeah, with the giant ants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So giant insects are scary. I agree with that.
I like
small insects are not.
There's one that came out a couple years ago, and it came from the desert.
Came from the desert.
You should watch it if you haven't. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's based off a freaking Commodore 64 game. So
really?
Yeah. And
unsuccessful video game.
Yeah, it's like a text-based adventure game. Back in the day, you had to like do the command and then say walk forward kind of thing.
Yeah, pick up, shovel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlock door. I remember those. They were like King's Quest.
Yeah. But the movie, though, is actually really good. It's like giant ants, and they make it kind of comedic, almost like Eight-Legged Freaks.
Oh, okay.
So it was like pretty entertaining, I thought. But I do really like that they made him half human and half fly monster thing.
Yeah, one thing I was disappointed at was I was expecting some wings, but I think maybe it was too difficult to have him fly.
Well, maybe I don't think he was fully transformed yet.
He did have some type of stuff going on
when his
all
whole
his skin fell off.
Yeah, when all his whole like
wings, though.
human part fucking sheds away.
Yeah, he had the eyes and kind of the like nose thing, but
yeah,
I don't know if he had the wings. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think he had the wings, but I don't know if he was fully transformed yet. We didn't really get that far. But
that's what happens when you only give 10 minutes of the movie to like him being an actual mutated fly.
Now, did you feel bad for Jeff Goldblum?
Did I feel bad for him?
Yeah. Like, basically the whole movie I felt bad for him, except for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, when he became that weird, like, that wasn't really him anymore. When he became that thing, like...
Yeah, all he cared about was basically having that woman get in that fucking pod at any cost necessary.
Yeah. So that was the only time in the movie where he was, like, you know, evil.
Yeah.
And the other times it was just like, I'm effed. Let me eat some donuts.
Yeah, they really did a really good job of making his life look like it was crumbling apart in that movie. Because his house was really nice, cleaned up.
The great thing was when he did spit out that stuff. And he's like, oh, that's gross.
Yeah.
That made me laugh.
Yeah, that fucking concoction. It was like eggs and milk and honey, I think is what it was, to make it look so fucking nasty.
It looked nasty. Definitely looked nasty. It was thick and white and gross.
What about the part where he's arm wrestling that dude?
Yes,
and the white shit like oozes out of his hand.
I didn't understand that. Why was stuff oozing out of his hand? Was that just the same stuff that when he squeezed his fingers, like
I think
out?
Yeah, it was just like
I didn't know if it was like sweat or if it was because he was supposed to be changing or what was going on there.
Well, I don't know if it was like
it was white though. It was white liquid.
Yeah.
It was running down their hands. It was disgusting. If I had that, I would have stopped that arm wrestling immediately. What is this?
Well, I like how the whole thing is like that was the thing to prove your toughness at a bar was to arm wrestle this dude.
Yeah.
It's like, what? The dude's wearing a leather jacket with no shirt on.
Yeah, you've already stated to the world you're badass.
So, we got your review. My review of The Flies, I think it's a cult classic. I think it's great. It's a movie I would definitely... that I have watched many times before. And I always suggest to people as kind of like a... I guess kind of like a jumping off point if they wanted to get into something that's not too out there, but at the same time is still kind of in the realm of that horror movie aspect. You know what I mean?
I think same thing. Like you can definitely recommend this to people that like sci-fi. You know, people that just like just an older type 80s movie.
Well,
some people are just really into 80s movies in general, and if you're into that, I think you'll enjoy The Fly.
I think, personally, I think the 80s was the best time for movies. I think it was where the most originality came from. I think people were the most creative then because they couldn't rely on CGI. Mm-hmm. I think movie studios gave a lot more freedom to people to do and experiment with shit that today you can't do.
Well, that's what happens over time when things become more and more refined.
Yeah.
Basically pinpointed on what makes money, the formula. I don't think in the 80s they had that exact Hollywood formula down exactly. Yeah,
you could gamble with a fucking movie and be like, this might work.
See what happens. Yeah, now it's like, if it's not a superhero movie, it's not coming out. I feel like everything's a superhero movie.
Which I won't see. I'm done with superheroes. I've been done with superheroes since we went and saw the first Thor movie.
Yeah, but you do gotta see Deadpool. Because the Deadpool is a worthwhile movie to see.
Maybe.
It's funny.
I don't know. I read the comic books when I was a kid, and
it might ruin it. I mean, if you're expecting, like, it to be as
That
good as
one
Star Wars or
X-Men
something.
movie or Wolverine movie where Ryan Reynolds was Deadpool originally, it was hecka fucking stupid.
But he was in it for like 2 seconds.
Well, at the end, remember he's like the main villain at the end. He has his mouth sewn shut and his arms
that
are
wasn't
fucking
even-
swords.
That wasn't even Ryan Reynolds though.
Yeah, it was.
It was?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Though.
Yeah. Well, a lot of other people on the internet disagree that The Fly is a good movie at all.
Oh, really?
And
But I thought on Rotten Tomatoes it got like a 92 or
well, it does. It has a high rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but I went and looked at Amazon for the reviews for The Fly, and here are some of the reviews. 1 star from user Diana says horrible. That's it.
That's it? That's amazing. I love reviews like that. Like, it's not even worth my time to write anymore about this.
But she took the time to go on there to 1 star.
It bugged her enough to actually log in, and then she lost steam.
Horrible. And it's not even capital H or period. Just
funny.
horrible.
That's hilarious.
User Tuzo, Tuzo says,
Tizo.
lots of sex scenes or suggestive long conversations.
What?
So someone's a prude.
Right? It was like there was maybe 2 sex scenes in there.
Yeah, and they're not. You don't even see anything.
No.
So
They're on the couch and they have a blanket over them. Whoever does that. I mean, come on.
this person's name, please cancel this order. They wrote, this is a horrible movie. I dislike the entire movie. 1 star.
It's a so cool movie.
This person, Opa520, says, remake sucks. The original 1958 version is much better, with an exclamation point. This version sucks big time, and I can't believe Gina Davis actually agreed to act in it. Totally dumb, disgusting, and don't waste your time.
Not a fan.
No, what I was really shocked at is there are reviews on here about this movie, and I'm sure there is for a shitload of movies out there, but for someone to waste their time and write fucking like 9 paragraphs of why the movie sucked,
Oh, yeah.
what the fuck is wrong with you in your life to do something like that?
I know. I don't understand that either.
On an Amazon review that probably no one's going to see unless it's this podcast. This was written in 2001, this review. From user Unknowin.
That's his name?
Yeah, Unknowin.
Okay.
This is a horrible movie. Or this is the worst movie I have seen in my whole life. I'm serious when I say this is the worst movie I have ever seen in my whole life. This is the most disgusting movie ever made. How can people give it 5 stars? This movie is bloody and gory. It's disgusting. I didn't even watch the movie the whole way through. I had to fast forward at times when it got too
It
gross.
didn't even get gross till the end, though. So, like, didn't even finish it. He didn't even get to the gory part.
This is the part I like the most of this. I will never watch this movie again in my life. Yuck! In capital letters. I hate this stupid movie.
That's pretty good.
And then the last and I thought funniest one, it kind of competes with horrible. The first one we did. Sonny Burnett says the title is Bzz Rubbish. Big fly at the end. LOL.
That's funny, too.
So there are a lot of people that thought this movie sucked, which is
I can
really
understand
funny.
it. Like, I can understand it if they really didn't like, gore or anything. But it didn't really even get gory till the end. So I don't understand exactly if they didn't watch the whole movie all the way through. It didn't really get gory.
Well,
He lost some teeth or something. Like, I don't know. That's not that gross.
I mean, when he sheds his fucking skin and his
that's the very end, right?
his ear falls off and his
His
jaw
ear does fall
and
off, yeah. Well, that's kind of towards the end, too. That's in the last 20 minutes.
or his skin kind of like starts changing. His face looks all fucked up, like he's a heroin addict or some shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of nasty, but at the same time, for the reviews that I saw, if this was either someone that came off the original and was like, "Oh, a remake, I'm gonna watch it." There's a fucking trailer
Exactly.
To judge whether you want to see it.
A little bit?
You know?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, David Cronenberg. Why does his name keep showing up as like a big title in this movie? You just look up his other movies, like, oh, probably don't want to see this one.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just thought it was really funny. And yeah, The Fly. I think it's a great movie, and it's one of those movies that, for some reason, still when I talk to people that don't know a lot about horror films, a lot of people haven't seen this movie, which is weird.
I didn't.
Like, I know my wife hasn't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see it. I'm sure. Oh, I know my dad's seen it, of course. But it's like, when I talk to normie type people.
Well, I was also 3 when this came out, so it's like,
I wasn't even born yet.
yeah, okay.
But I mean, I still saw this in like elementary school. Which is also the beauty of being, you know, at that time. You don't have to wait for movies to come out. You just watch them back to back.
Yeah, that's good.
Like when I watch all the Friday the 13th movies, I'm like, man, I'm glad I didn't have to wait like a year to see this one.
That's what I like about TV series, actually, is that I just wait for them
when you
to
put
come
them
out.
off.
Yeah, you just don't watch them for the whole season, and then you just watch the whole season like a week or a weekend or something.
Even though I'm kind of ashamed to say it, I did the same thing for Ash vs. the Evil Dead. There was only 3 seasons, but I didn't watch it until they were all done because I wasn't going to pay fucking extra money for a Stars account just to watch it.
Yeah, I know.
Which I think that's what killed the show, to be honest.
Well, you had to pay money to see it.
Well, you had to have a separate account from your Hulu or
add it on
account.
to Hulu.
Yeah, but it's like an extra $50.
It's like $7 a month or something. Yeah.
I'm not going to do that to watch a show.
I know. That's why I got rid of. I had Stars. I had Stars at HBO. I got rid of them. It just isn't enough for the price. Like,
No.
you can watch everything that's worthwhile in a week, and then you're just paying every month for it.
Yeah, and because the show was so good, like I would have been mad if I had to
First
wait.
Evil Dead. I liked the first 2 seasons. The third season I didn't like that much. I didn't finish it actually. I don't think the third one.
You should. They're coming out with an Evil Dead game. Another one. Speaking of which, this will probably go on the a segment of this will go on my YouTube channel, Retro or Die, to gain more audience relevance to our podcast, whatever fucking name we come up with.
Yeah.
Which we need to come up with soon.
It's Getting out your laptop to see names.
Those are just a bunch of Dragon Ball Z stickers on there.
Yeah, I see that now. Well, spare the dead. That's different. Spare the dead, slay the living.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do you have any more you want to talk about or say about the movie?
I'm not even thinking of it. I think we said everything. Do we talk about the arm wrestling and his arm breaking off?
I mean, we talked about the goo coming out of his hand.
Yeah.
But the arm snapping part I thought was fucking great.
Yeah.
Especially because that's a real injury that you always see in arm wrestling fail videos.
I think I was watching it and it was like at a 5. And then when that happened, it popped up to a 7. Because I was like, okay, something happened.
Really? I was
yeah.
like, see, that's so weird for me because I know you, like when we talk about video games especially, you're not very you're not into games that are like super story driven.
Yep.
And this movie is definitely very good at like telling a story and getting to, it's like a slow burn.
Yeah.
You're slowly getting to the point where you're like wanting to see the end. And I could see why this movie especially would not be as high on the list as say like Evil Dead. You know what I mean? Where you're constantly seeing fucked up shit happen.
Yeah, there's always something, when there's always some line he's saying or, you know, something.
Yeah, and Bruce Campbell himself, I mean.
He's just always funny.
Yeah.
Just the way he talks in general is great.
I do me all day. I love that.
He's just like so self-absorbed. It's amazing. And
he's retarded. They made him like even more retarded in the show than he was in the movie.
Yeah. He's super stupid. That's what gives him his charm, though.
Yeah, it is. Well, Anyway, guys, I don't know how long we were recording this, but this is our first episode.
Yes, sir.
And we did The Fly.
Fly.
David Cronenberg classic. I don't know if you would call it a classic, but...
80s is coming up to classic now. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's 2022 now? 2021 now?
No, it's 2020 still.
Well, it's basically 2021. A few more days, it'll be 2021.
Which
So,
I'm glad we're recording.
Like 30-something years? Yeah,
I'm glad we're recording this first episode in 2020, because when we finally do get to look back on this, we'll be like, remember that really fucked up year?
That's
when we started the podcast and it was like super rough.
Yeah, the podcast that has no name.
Yeah. Oh my god, what if we named it that? A podcast that has no name.
Yeah, good. Or a podcast that has no name. The No Name Podcast. Pod, no name. No name pod. I don't know.
No name horror.
No Name Horror.
I don't know. It sounds stupid.
No Name Horror Podcast. Horrorcast.
Horror?
Huh?
Did you say horrorcast?
Horrorcast. Horror.
Like women?
Horror.
Oh,
cast.
horror.
Yeah. I say horror and horror. They're the same thing.
I have to make sure, like, when I make YouTube videos, I pronounce it like horror.
Horror.
I can't say horror, because it does sound like I'm saying horror.
I got you. Like your mom's a horror.
Yeah. Or, you know, those people from Star Wars, the Sandpit people. That's their actual name, or horror.
Horror?
Yeah.
Horror?
H-O-A-R.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
I'm just calling you a sand person from Star Wars. Don't make it so offended, lady.
Yeah, why are they called Tusken Raiders when they're called whores?
I don't know.
It's really weird. Doesn't fly well with Disney. Well, anyway, episode 1 in the books.
Done and done.
And we'll see you, I don't know if we've decided on bi-weekly or weekly.
I think it's bi-weekly right now. I could do another one next week or whenever. I'm on vacation right now, so yeah, until I start work again.
Sweet. It's going to be a good one, I think, whatever we decide next.
We're going to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, right?
The Next Generation.
See, that's something that we can classify as horror, right? Because
I consider that, yeah, like slapstick,
people.
Fucked up horror.
Yeah, a horror movie can have that funny element to it, but I think it's got to have more.
I think you're
evil in it.
I think you're looking forward to that more now, just because
I'm
you know
totally
Matthew
looking forward
McConaughey
to
and Renee Zellweger's in it.
Yeah, well, when you showed me that clip of Matthew McConaughey going nuts, I was like, I gotta see this.
All right, then we'll see you for episode 2 for Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It'd be cool if we had some like outro music going in right now.
We will.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, bye guys.
See you later.
Sweet, we got our first episode.
Yeah, that's easy.
Oh yeah, it's
Just freaking talk. Man, Joe Rogan has the easiest job in the world.